the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast with your host, Jackie Pilosoff.
No one should have to go through a divorce feeling alone and isolated. The Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast is a production of Divorced Girl Smiling, where every show is 30 minutes aimed to empower you, help you feel validated and understood, and connect you with some of the best divorce professionals in the industry. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and start smiling as you join us right now for the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found and always at divorcedgirlsmiling.com. I want to tell you about two Divorced Girl Smiling trusted professionals who I think you are going to want to know about. The first one is therapist Deborah Alper. She's in Chicago. Deborah is an LCSW who is a divorce recovery and relationship therapist. I've known Deborah since 2015, and I knew the minute I met her and got to know her that she was a wonderful therapist. She's a great listener. She's so smart. She's really compassionate, and I can't say enough about Deborah. If you want to learn more or you want to have a consult with her, you can find Deborah on her website at lifetransitionschicago.com. I also want to tell you about Erica Sparrow. Erica is a divorce attorney and mediator and the founder of Sparrow Law based out of South Bend, Indiana. Erica calls herself a peacemaker because she resolves divorce cases with wisdom and care, and she says families don't need sharks, they need solutions. Erica's been practicing since 2013. I just would highly, highly recommend her if you're in Indiana and you need an attorney. You can find Erica at sparrowlawpc.com, and it's SPERAW lawpc.com. And you can find both Erica and Deborah in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. It's one of the scariest things about getting divorced, and it's also the reason, in my opinion, that a lot of people won't pull the trigger and get divorced. And you know what it is? Fear of being alone. That's what we're going to talk about today. I have two great guests. Both of them went through a divorce, and they are, well, I'll tell you who the guests are: Karen Chellew and Catherine Shanahan. And Karen and Catherine are the founders of My Divorce Solution. And My Divorce Solution is a financial preparation company. They're changing the way people get divorced. It's a company that will help you get divorced with a totally fair outcome without spending thousands on divorce attorneys. And we're going to talk about that too. But both of these women know what it was like feeling lonely and being afraid. So, Karen and Catherine, hi.
Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
So the three of us have known you guys have known each other since you started the company in 2016 or even before then, but I've known you guys now for a few years.
Mhm.
What do you think about what I just said? Don't you guys feel like people don't get divorced, or the biggest fear is they don't want to be alone? Tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, I hear that all the time. They don't want to be alone, and you think that all the time. You don't want to be alone, but when you are alone, you're thinking, I always say, I'm not really alone. Even when I'm sitting home alone, I don't feel alone. There's always something I could do.
Yeah,
So you
but
have
that's
to,
because you're healthy now. You're not like, but think back to when you were a newly separated person who hadn't lived alone in so many years, had never been through a divorce. And so you probably felt like both Karen and I, or and every woman, like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid I'm going to be alone forever.
well, I'm going to be really honest with you. I remember I moved out of a very large house and moved into a very small townhome. And one of my first thoughts when I was sitting there by myself at night was, oh my gosh, it's so nice not having to think, "Shit, the garage door is opening and here he comes." Like, I didn't have that thought anymore, so
I'm
I got
so
to.
glad you brought that up. That's so true, because as I was saying that, I was thinking, of course, you wouldn't be getting divorced if you weren't in a really toxic situation. Or maybe some people are listening and it wasn't your choice, but there is a benefit to that feeling alone, like, "Oh my gosh, I'd rather be alone than be with this guy."
Yeah.
What do
So
you
that
think, Karen?
Yeah, 100%. And I remember back to those days where that really is what drove me to make that decision to move beyond that situation. I was developing a lot of medical situations because I was holding stress in. And I made the decision because if I wasn't able to make good decisions for myself, I knew my children wouldn't, I wouldn't be modeling that for my children to make good decisions for myself. But I truly thought if I can't find a way to leave, I won't survive. And that was my particular situation. So it was very scary, just for a lot of reasons. So I 100% agree.
All right, let's talk about some of the reasons. So we all agree that, even though you know it's the better choice, you're sitting home alone. Maybe your ex just came and got the kids for the first time, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible. I feel so alone. I don't like this." It's uncomfortable. And what are specifically some of the things people worry about when it comes to being alone? Like, I'm never going to meet anyone. No one's going to want me now. I'm a divorced woman in my 40s or 50s. Who's going to want me? Maybe financially. Well, this is you guys' area. Financially, they're afraid. I'm going to have to manage all these things myself. I'm going to have to pay my own bills. Tell me about that.
That is actually a thought that I had. My ex and I didn't have a financial problem. We're both financial advisors. I handled all the finances. I paid all the bills, but I never did anything to screw him over during our relationship or anything. It was I always did what was right for the family, and we were both in the know. But I can remember post divorce thinking, "Oh my gosh, I have to make this decision by myself." I don't have a partner to kind of bounce the decision off. Even if we didn't agree, at least I could bounce off a financial decision with him. Or I never did a purchase of a car by myself when I was married. I would always talk to him about the car, right? So now I have to make those decisions by myself. And that was a scary thing for me. And I'm financially independent. Like money doesn't scare me. Numbers don't scare me. But I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone really that's gonna be in this decision with me, whether it's right or wrong, I'm suffering the consequence all by myself.
And you're a financial advisor. Can you imagine? And we all know that there are so many women who have never managed finances, never paid bills, never worried about anything. Wealthy women. And I had my Series 7. I don't know if you know that about me, Catherine and Karen, but so I understood the stock market and, everything like that. And I see more intimidation by women who almost don't even wanna get divorced because they're so intimidated by investments and budgeting and, managing their own finances. I think this is a great time to bring up my divorce solution, okay? Because I think that what you guys do and what my divorce solution does is it's almost an exercise that helps people not just during divorce, but after divorce too. All right, tell us.
Well, I believe you're very much on point because when you're in that space of do I stay or do I go, or I'm in a divorce now, the unknowns seem to take precedence over the known. And what we're able to do at My Divorce Solution is really grab those knowns and build on those so that you know the financial impact of every decision you're making. And it is an exercise that mandates time, but the and an investment, of course, but taking the steps to do that helps you engage better with your counsel, your spouse, your mediator. It helps you make better decisions in the moment because as we all know, when you're getting divorced, you can easily get wrapped up in the emotions of your spouse's behavior or your fear about how you're making ends meet or a whole host of things. And our process is set up to help you focus on what is the most important financial decisions you're making today and then tomorrow and then the next day so you don't get distracted with those emotions.
It's also
And
a
what I love
reality check.
about it is what I love about it is that it's so intimidating, possibly at first to people. And then once you learn about it, you say, wow, this is so much simpler than I thought. You guys are providing me a document that pretty much spells out what I have, what the scenarios I are if I ask for this, this, and this, what my divorce could look like. I mean, you make it so easy for people. And that's what I love about my divorce solution.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's also a reality check. When we do their lifestyle analysis, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of wealthy women in particular, they don't realize what the bills are. They don't realize what they'll be paying on their own, and they're asking for a support number, but what will they do with that number? And being able to stand behind why you're asking for a support number based on what your need is really empowering. You're not just making up this number. You actually go through the work and realize what your monthly expenses are going to look like moving forward.
You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. Today, we're talking about being alone after divorce, why it's okay, and tips on how to enjoy it, which we haven't gotten to yet. We're going to take a short break. Oops, I forgot to say that my guests are Karen Chellew and Catherine Shanahan, co founders of My Divorce Solution. Check it out, mydivorcesolution.com. Karen and Catherine are changing the way people get divorced. It is a wonderful tool that they use to help you figure out everything on one page and make good decisions and have a great outcome. After the break, we're going to talk about a few more fears people have when it comes to being alone and then tips on how to enjoy it. We'll be right back. Can I afford to keep the house? Is it better to sell? Should I buy a new house or does renting make more sense? Will I be able to get a mortgage? Will interest rates ever come down? These are questions so often asked in divorce, and the problem is divorcing men and women are asking these questions to their divorce attorneys who really don't know. But you know who knows? Stacy Ellison. Stacy is a CDLP, a certified divorce lending professional. She's a mortgage lender and she is a mortgage planner. Stacy can answer all your questions. She can collaborate with your other divorce professionals like your attorney, your financial advisor, your mediator, so that you can determine the best solutions for you. I'd highly recommend having a consult with Stacy, and you can find her at divorcemortgagesolutions.biz. I also want to recommend a wonderful divorce coach. Her name is Darlene Taylor, and Darlene is a co-parenting coach, an author, and a speaker. Can't say enough about Darlene. She went through a divorce several years ago. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was a social worker. She was the mother of a then 2-year-old daughter. And so she set out to be the best co-parent she possibly could. That was 16 years ago, and now she's teaching everything that she learned combined with her professional experience. If you want to learn more about Darlene, you can find her at darlenetaylor.com. And you can find both Stacy and Darlene in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. Today, I'm here with Catherine Shanahan and Karen Chellew. They are the co-founders of My Divorce Solution, a financial divorce preparation company. And is that right? I mean, is that what you would call it? It's a process. It's a
No,
divorce.
it's a method. It's the MDS method is what we really call it. But we do have a divorce preparation platform to support
Right.
that method. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's whatever it is, whatever category it fits in. It's a great, great tool, a great way to get divorced. mydivorcesolution.com. And the three of us are talking about being alone after divorce, why it's totally okay, why you're going to be fine, and we're going to continue on and talk about tips on how to enjoy being alone. So, before we get into that, what are some other fears people listening might have? Let's think about who's listening. Like they might be thinking, when my kids go off with my ex, I don't even know what to do with myself. And then they feel guilty if they say, okay, I'm going to go get a massage or go get my nails done. And don't you guys feel like that guilt is so unproductive? Like, you deserve it. Have a little break. You're going through a hard time. Even if you're the one who wanted the divorce, you didn't do anything wrong. You're trying to have a happier life and you're trying to have your kids have a better life. So the guilt is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make a statement now that I haven't really made, and I'll do it first here on your show. So I'm going through a divorce, my second divorce, and talk about the guilt. This was just a short marriage. It was 4 years, and my first marriage was 23. And so I am getting rid of it, but the guilt of just wanting to be happy, right? I made a decision. I'm embarrassed about the decision I made to get married. I saw the red flags. I didn't follow them. And so now I'm in the middle of a divorce. And divorce the second time around, the rate is over 60%, and I see why. But some of my fear is that, oh my gosh, all my friends are married, right? All these friends I established again post the first divorce. Am I going to lose them like I lost friends before? I'm older now. Am I going to meet somebody? I am a relationship girl. I love relationships. I love marriage, actually. I don't think I'll ever get married again, but I have that fear of, will I be by myself? But then on the flip side, I just had my first grandchild. My daughter just had a baby, so it's filling my life in a way that when the kids were little. But you still do fear if you're listening and you're going through that second divorce and you thought that was the answer to that relationship, you still do have those fears. I'm a pretty secure person and I know how to go get a massage and I do all those things because I do believe that we deserve that. But you still sometimes come home and say, is this it for me? Like, is there a chance for me to have a relationship? Moving.
Okay. I have so much to say on this. So first of all, Catherine, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I feel for you. I'm sure you're in a lot of pain. I definitely am glad I said that about the guilt because it's so unproductive and you have nothing to feel guilty about. You are doing yourself a favor. You're doing your soon to be ex a favor. You're doing your family a favor. We are way too into this life and way too old to have precious time ticking away being with somebody because we feel guilty or because we're afraid of what people will think if we get divorced. You know what? We need to do another podcast on second divorce shame because if there's 60% of divorces are second divorces, there's a lot of people out there feeling your same feelings. So I know that you just said about all these things that you're fearing, but one thing about you is you probably are realizing that this divorce versus the last one, you do know how to be alone. And you don't seem like a lonely person because you have a family, you have grandchildren, you've built a life for yourself post divorce, even when you were married. So I think there's a difference in second divorces. I think people going through a second divorce might not have that feeling of fear of being alone so much, and plus, I'm gonna set you up with your next boyfriend. I mean, this is like a layup.
I'm not picking one my own. I need someone to pick them out for me. Yeah.
My gosh.
Karen, what do you think?
Yeah, so I was the leaver of my marriage when I left for divorce at the old age of 29, even though I'd been married for 10 years. But to your point, I felt there was no way I would be going out and getting a massage or my nails done or anything for myself because I did feel so guilty. I felt guilty because the kids were really having a rough time with it. It was so contentious. I was from a religious background, so my church abandoned me, my family abandoned me. I was alone. And so it's just easier for me to stay home and cry, I guess. I eventually got out of that, of course, clearly. But I also had the issue of I was the financial manager in our family, but our family was building my husband's business. I was the one who worked and rearranged my hours for all the childcare. So then when I was going through my divorce, I'm faced with, oh no, somehow I've got to build my net worth. It's not just about paying the bills anymore. And it's not about anything more than, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to build your net worth statement so that you have a financial future for Karen Chellew? So those were my fears that I had to work through step by step by step by step. And that's why I'm so committed to what we do here at My Divorce Solution, because it does make a difference with a mindset shift and allowing you to have space to move forward, even if I felt like the whole world was against me. And I'm sure it was not. But I'm just saying you can easily get in that space of that big, large fear and then getting stuck.
Well, it feels like the 3 of us can all agree that had we looking back, what we wanna say to people is don't feel guilty,
Mhm.
and the key is learning how to feel comfortable being in your house alone, living your life alone. Like, I always say, you could be married with 5 kids and your house is full and loud all the time, and you're the loneliest person in the world if you're not happily married or you just feel like disconnected or that the relationship is toxic. You could also be living by yourself. I know so many people who live alone. They're the happiest people. They have a full calendar of a social life, a job, hobbies, friends, grandchildren, family. They never feel lonely or alone.
Yeah.
So, big difference, and I want people listening to just relax and say to yourself, "A," and actually this is for you too, Catherine, you're not gonna be alone forever. I don't see you not meeting someone. Okay, you're saying, "I never wanna get married again," but I mean just a companion, a boyfriend, somebody to be your life partner, whatever, you want. I definitely see that happening. But
Okay.
even if, like, somebody had a crystal ball and said, like, "You're gonna have this really happy life," but you never get into a serious relationship again. Would you rather be stay married or would you rather say, "Okay, I'll still take the divorce?"
I know I would definitely take the divorce in this
That's what I
situation.
mean.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Kelly Clarkson has a song and it really helped me during my first divorce and it because the kids always felt I think they felt guilty if I was sitting home alone, and I can remember using the line of her song, it said something like, "Just because I'm alone doesn't mean I'm lonely," right?
Mm.
So, I got very comfortable with, going out to I'm still a big happy hour girl, I love a happy hour because I love to be in bed early, but, I can remember going to happy hour and just going home by myself saying, "Oh my god, I love it. I'm just gonna put my sweats on, I'm gonna get some ice cream, I'm gonna watch a movie all by myself," right? And I was not lonely, like, I had fun doing that, so
Because you had gone out, socialized with people, and you had had your fill of being social. I tell people, especially like during COVID, this was a big problem. It made a lot of people not get divorced because they didn't wanna be alone because nobody was doing anything. Even if you are, let's say, going through a divorce and you're like, my ex has the kids, I'm gonna be alone all weekend." Even if you go meet your girlfriend for coffee for 1 hour or go take a walk, you've done something. You've socialized. You've done something physical. You've been outdoors. Now, if you go home and spend the rest of the day by yourself, you're not gonna feel as lonely as you would if you did nothing with
so
anyone.
true. It's so
That
true.
is so true.
And
And
by
you
the
know
way, your
what?
story,
Yeah.
sorry, Karen, your
Oh,
story with the getting home, getting in sweats, watching a movie, and ice cream, I can completely relate. I do the same thing.
I still do that. I still love
yeah.
to do
And you should. You
that.
deserve it. All right, go ahead, Karen. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, um, there's the extrovert that really thrives on all the relationships, but me coming from an introvert space, going out and making more connections was a bit out of my reach in the beginning, not so much now. But I just remember sticking with, okay, I have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because from that space, then you can learn how to do more things and different things. Being uncomfortable is not a bad thing. It's just something you notice, and then you can move forward and do other things. And Catherine has been a big advocate, even for me, to kind of broaden my social life and things like that. Because to your point, the pandemic just made all of us introverts very comfortable sitting at home, not going out. But it's really an important thing to do when you're going through a transition. It is important to reach out and step out and build your new community around you.
And
I
then you Kara brings up a point, and I think, Jackie, you're bringing this up too, because this is your personality. It's nice to recognize that maybe you are an introvert and to have a friend that can push you to, it doesn't have to be a spouse, but if you have a good friend or you have a business partner or you have a family member, let them push you, let them challenge you to be uncomfortable, being fearful, of what you have to do, because we all need somebody to lean in on. And even if you have to talk, I've talked to myself in the mirrors. I'm like, okay, Catherine, you're an upbeat person. Talk to yourself. You're not feeling so upbeat, So you could talk to yourself too in the mirror. It does actually work. And I like what you said, Jackie. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have
Well,
to.
I have another really good tip, which I don't know if you guys can relate to. I think you're gonna say you can. When I got divorced, I met a girl in my kickboxing class, and she was the only person I knew who was either divorced or getting divorced. I was like the first one in my community to get divorced, 2007. No one was divorced. And we hooked up and started going out for coffee, going out for dinners, going out like to the bars in the suburbs. And we met other divorced people. Before we knew it, there was this whole group of people. We all got each other's phone numbers. We texted, "Hey, I don't have my kids tonight. What's going on?" It was a very nice community, and I would highly recommend people, if you're afraid that you're going to be lonely, try to surround yourself with other divorced people. It doesn't mean you have to let go of your married friends. Some of them turned out to be the best friends. Like Catherine, you said some people stop being friends with you. I had that happen to me too. But I also had my best friends who were my friends when I was married, who were my friends when I was single, and who are my friends now that I'm with someone. And they're great too. But if you can find even one or two divorced friends, you're going to love it. It's going to make you feel less alone because you can relate to each other so much more and you can talk. And then you start to build this community of other people.
And we know how great you are at building a community. Look at you now. Now you build a business community, which is great. I love that.
Thanks.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we have time for like a couple more or one more tip, maybe for people listening who are feeling like I'm really dreading being alone. Although, if you're listening, you probably feel a lot better now that you listen to this. Is there anything else that you would tell them?
So I would tell them you don't have to figure out everything today. So many times when going through divorce, there's so many things to figure out at all times. But there's a whole segment of those things that seem emergent. When you wake up in the middle of the night and they all come flooding in, that's when I'm sending myself 1,000 emails. But most of the time, when I get up and I'm setting my agenda for the day, half of those things don't have to be figured out today. And so, something that I tell our clients a lot, like, let's just focus on what we need to get done today. I hear your concerns, they are valid, critical, legitimate concerns. But guess what? Sometimes time allows for the resolution of those concerns. So, like, sometimes give time its space and figure out today what you need to figure out today and trust yourself that you've done that's good enough for today.
I love that advice. That is the best advice. And by the way, I wake up in the middle of the night and send myself emails too.
Thing.
That's funny.
You guys, thank you so much for being on the show. I absolutely love this conversation and feel like we helped so many people.
Hopefully we did. And thanks for having us. We love being on your show and supporting what you do.
Thanks, guys. If you want to learn more about Catherine and Karen, you can find them at mydivorcesolution.com. I would highly recommend consulting with them if you are at the beginning of your divorce or thinking about a divorce, or even if you have spent all this money on divorce attorneys and you feel like your divorce isn't moving forward. They can save you tens of thousands of dollars and make the picture really clear for you and make you help and help you make really good decisions in your divorce and have a really good divorce outcome and post-divorce life. You can also find Catherine and Karen in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling, which is divorcedgirlsmiling.com. You can also go there to listen to more podcasts, read articles, or sign up for my 30-minute free consult where you get to tell me your story, tell me all about your divorce. It's confidential, it's free, and then I recommend all kinds of resources that I think are a good fit for you. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.